Good morning, President Fox. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing this morning and where are we reaching you today?
Thanks to Texas Tribune, thanks to yourself, Berenice. We're right here together. I'm at Rancho San Cristobal, state of Guanajuato in Mexico, where all of you have your home.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it's beautiful there.
It is nice weather, beginning to get a little bit cool now.
Lovely. Love that. Well, great. Well, thank you so much again for being with us. I guess just to jump right in, it's been about 19 years since you left office. And the issue of immigration has become even more contentious, as I'm sure you're well aware. And I'm curious as to how that issue was really handled during your presidency. Can you tell us how that was discussed between you and President Bush at the time? And how did that affect the relationship between the US and Mexico?
Yes, that issue is right here in my heart. I love migrants. I love my people. I was born and raised with them right here at Rancho San Cristobal. They were my kid friends until they became 9, 10, 12-year olds. And they came to me and said, Vicente, with tears in their eyes, we're sorry, but we're leaving. How the hell are you leaving? Where to? We're going north. We're going to the United States looking for a better future, which we don't find here in Mexico. So I had to say goodbye to them. I saw them when they were 80-year-olds in Chicago, in Los Angeles. Some of them are still alive, and some of them keep being my great friends. I love them. I admire them because if you want to think about attributes of leadership, they have all of them. They have courage. They have no fear. They have a dream, and they work for building that dream for themselves and their families. So it's great people. And that's why I thank all the American people that likes them, that works with them, that hires them, and that gives them embrace and love.
Yeah.
So as you said, all this started in my childhood, but it became official public policy when I had that great visit of the President of the United States, George Bush. His first visit to any foreign country right after he became president was to Mexico. Any time before, it used to be to Canada. But this time, the friendship we had built among ourselves, George and myself, brought him here to your home.
Mm.
Incredible. To San Cristobal. More incredible. He comes in, Rancho San Cristobal, the old hacienda. My mother sitting on her bench where she would rest in the morning, and she sees President of the United States coming into San Cristobal. She was shocked. And further on, George comes in and gives a big, big kiss to my mom. So she just diluted.
What were the main issues that were talked about during that visit?
Well, right from Rancho San Cristobal, we came home where I am right now. This is your home. I've been here for 40 years now. And President Bush and his delegation came here, Condoleezza Rice and all his team, to this home, and we discussed only one single issue. And we committed for that issue, which was let's come up with a change in the legal status of migrants. Let's work on making them legal. And we were talking about 12 million people at that time. And we started working hard, him, his administration, and my administration for 2 years. But then came September the 11th, that very, very sad day in United States. And I was about to come to Washington to meet with both chambers of Congress to discuss and approve the initiative, the bill related to migration. I met with all the committees in Congress, at the Senate. I addressed both chambers of Congress, and everything was done. We had it. After working 2 years, President Bush and myself came out with a very sound, very reliable, very sustainable initiative and bill. And about to be approved, then comes September the 11th. And I received a call from President Bush. He said, Vicente, I am absolutely sorry. I really apologize for all the work we have done, for all the dedication we put it into this issue, but I cannot continue with it. Everything has changed in this world. My number one priority now is going to be fighting terrorism. And so he started that crusade against terrorism all around the world. And everybody would stand up to applaud him in every nation he would visit. He was a champion. He got up to a job approval at that time close to 90%. And very unfortunately, things did not work as he wished and we all wished. We still have a very violent world. We still have wars all around. We have places like Mexico, which used to be a democratic nation, used to be a, a working nation, and today is controlled by capos, is controlled by terrorism, is controlled by cartels, and it has become very, very violent, the situation. So we need to work again for peace. Peace is the number one value for a human being. We must live in peace. We must work for peace every day of our lives.
So, given that you were so close to finding that legal pathway for people here undocumented, can you tell me a little bit about how the events of 9/11, how that really shaped where we are today as far as immigration? Do you think that, the world would have looked so much different had that not happened?
Well, at that time, immigrants were highly appreciated because United States needed labor. So you needed to import quality, hardworking labor, and the place to do it from was Mexico. So this is the way all these issues started developing. Uh, my people there in the States, they've been very successful, most of them, hardworking, are on the cropping and harvesting fields, hardworking in the construction industry, hardworking in the restaurants. That's why I don't understand at this moment why now we deny the need for that working force. Let me tell you, let's go back to Second World War. At that time, when United States went into the war, all the men of the army had to move to Europe. And so factories, restaurants, construction industry, and else was not attended except by women who started working for the economy. But at that time, a wise decision was taken to import in one bulk number around 2 million Mexicans on a temporary immigrant visa to come and help United States activities in the country while the men were at war in Europe. So that's something that Mexico did, is highly appreciated, and came to be of a strong benefit to United States. So after that, then we come to recent times, and people was needed because the economy of United States, when it grows on the average 2.5%, it needs to import labor. You don't have sufficient within the nation. So as more of the growth of the economy, more people you need to import. That's why United States has become a nation of immigrants. And very few US citizens can deny that they can come from a migrant origin, starting with President Trump, his wife, starting with most 95% of the people in the United States. They either came originally from Africa, or came from Europe, or came from Asia, or came from China, or came from Latin America. And that's what has made that nation so great, so powerful, so unique. That's why United States is the champion of the world. And we miss that great nation. We need United States to lead the efforts of humankind to a better civilization, to a better status quo than what we have today. Unfortunately, lately walls have been built, which I think is absolutely wrong. We're neighbors, we're friends, we're partners. We don't need walls. We can work it out on a different manner. And that's why I don't understand building walls. I don't understand uh, claiming that America is great. And what about the rest of the world? We, the rest of the world, are also great human beings.
Yeah. And can I ask you, so you mentioned that even when you were a child, there were people who were telling you that they were going to the United States for better opportunities. So, and you, I mean, and even today we have people from Central America, right, moving to the United States for those opportunities. So can you tell us as the former leader of Mexico, what is it about Mexico or these other places, why are those opportunities not there or are there and they're just not finding them? Like, what is driving these people to not be able to find what they need in their home countries?
Yes, it's a two-side formula. Number one, for United States and for Europe, is the price of success. You've been so successful, you have enriched the nation, the economy, the United States so much that everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to come. And that's why you see Africans moving north, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, reaching Europe, which has been very successful. Or they come from Central America, South America, come along across Mexico to reach the promised land, to reach the dream. And the American dream is not only the dream of the founding fathers, it's not only the dream of US citizens, it's also the dream of all Latin America. We dream about becoming as successful as United States. What happens? And then this is the other side of the, why have we failed? Why in Latin America we have not been able to grow our economy sufficient enough to provide jobs? Why have not we been able to educate our people, our citizens, our children with a strong competitive knowledge, capacities, technology? And we have failed, I will say, because of the lousy, and I reiterate that, the lousy governments, Mexicans or Latin Americans, populists, always thinking about controlling people, always thinking about enjoying authoritarianism instead of enjoying being for others. So we've been a failure, I have to say, in Latin America. Even Africa today is progressing faster than Latin America. Look at South Africa. South Africa has rates of growth larger than other countries in Latin America. Education, and more education is what we need to equip our people with.
So with that in mind, do you think that there's anything that the US can or should do with regards to, assisting these, Latin American
Well,
countries to, maybe
it,
establish a
it,
better.
it pretty much depends on the leader.
Hmm.
United States has been the leading nation of the world, and humankind just came through the best ever 30 years that humankind has had. The best progress in jobs, the best progress in income, the best progress in education, the best progress in reduction of poverty was accomplished between the 90s and the first decade of this century. We had humanistic leaders in the United States. I cannot forget people like Kennedy, like Reagan, like Obama, like Clinton, dedicated to generate progress, dedicated to impulse development of the humankind. Unfortunately, lately, the things have changed. And today, that great leading nation of the United States, that great dream of the founding fathers has been left behind. And the new leaders in the United States today claim for other things on a very selfish matter. America be great again. And I say, what about the rest of the world? How could we work for 3 decades together and progress as we had never done before? We can do that again, but we need humanistic leaders. We don't need greedy leaders. We need presidents that think about compassion, helping others, being for others. We need leaders that think about the progress of humankind as a whole. We need leaders that would never accept that poverty should exist. We should fight poverty. We should eradicate poverty. That's the claim. That's the voice we need in United States. With the technology you have, with intelligence, the artificial intelligence we have today, I hope, I pray that those better days of the world will come back and that by 2030, we will have a different world, a world that is united in one crusade, which is no illiteracy, no poor or no hunger, that we will have human beings with the opportunities that the founding fathers dreamed in the United States.
Yeah. With the current leaders right now, with President Trump and President Sheinbaum, how do you sort of see the relationship between Mexico and the US today?
Well, very critical, very distant. Today, we are real distant neighbors. We're not good neighbors anymore. Claudia is just a populist, one more populist, a socialist president. She was not prepared to be president of Mexico. She inherited illegally with a big question mark the presidency of Mexico. Unfortunately, the first occasion that Mexico has a lady president was the wrong choice. And that's what we have today. And then the relationship between her and Trump, Trump so authoritative, Trump so demanding, Trump using the stick, the Uncle Sam's stick of the tariffs to put the whole world to work for him. So it's not that humane treatment that we need. It's not that close relationship of neighbors and friends that we need. We don't need the Tio Sam with a stick. We need a president of the United States that understands compassion, that understands peace. How come can you be accepting all those boats out on the ocean being shot by modern technological airplanes without really making sure that there were criminals there or that there were drugs there? They just shoot and kill. We don't need that. We need a world in peace, a world in unity. And that's why leaders like me here in Mexico work every single day for peace, for compassion, for doing things better than what we're doing today.
I mean, given everything that's happened so far, with the way that Trump has really changed the way it deals with its foreign partners, do you think that relationship between Mexico and the United States is reparable? Like, do you think it can be restored again to what it once was?
Of course, yes. The United States has had that kind of leadership. Look at Martin Luther King. He changed a whole nation's situation because of his powerful message, because of the powerful dream he had. Abraham Lincoln, Jefferson, and most of the leaders of that great nation have thought differently. So, yes, I believe on a better future. I do have hope that those leaders will come back to the arena and that those leaders will strengthen the many things that we have wrong in this world today. Yes, I believe in leadership. I believe that one man with a name, with a face, can change the world by itself. Look at Nelson Mandela. He transformed South Africa into independence. Yes, because of his dream. Yes, because he wanted to make that change. Look at Mahatma Gandhi in India. He defeated, he defeated the British Empire just with the power of his voice, not even with clothes. Of course, no arms and no violence, and so on and on. Lev Walesa, who defeated communism and the Russian Empire. Yes, one person, Lev Walesa, did the miracle. So I know leaders are around. I know leaders will come with those values, the great values of the Western civilization. Number one, democracy. We don't need authoritarian governments. We need democratic governments. Number two, freedom. The land of the free was the Constitution of the United States. Freedom of choice. Number three, market economy, not populist economies, market economy. And number three, human rights. We must stop human right violations anywhere in the world that they happen. So those Western values, the Western civilization, we have to come back to them, and they should be leading our steps to the future. Artificial intelligence, we must train her because she doesn't do miracles. Artificial intelligence must be trained, must accumulate all the knowledge of the whole of the world in her mind so that take wise, humanistic, compassionate decisions and not just technocrats or authoritarian decisions.
Yeah. So, President Fox, you've mentioned that you don't seem to be a fan of, these populist policies or these socialist sort of tendencies that some politicians may have. And I wanted to ask you because it seems like in this moment, you're seeing a lot of more people, especially who are tired of the same sort of capitalist, system that we have, who are not doing well financially, who are struggling, and who see these messages, particularly from people like the candidate for New York City mayor, Zoran Mamdani, who's running on, who's a democratic socialist, right? And who talks about, making things more affordable for the people. That seems to be a message that's um, speaks to a lot of the common
Uh,
people. Um, and you've addressed yourself how we need to help people out of poverty. So can you tell me, do you not see the positives in a message like that, or do you think that those are dangerous ways to go down politically? I mean, can you tell me where you sort of land on that? And if you
yeah,
disagree with those populist messages, why?
capitalism by itself is not the answer. It's extremely unfair, the rules of capitalism. Many people will be left out of the train of progress if we will just think about capitalism. So we must think together with the efficiency of a capitalistic economy, we must at the same time think about a humane economy so that it shares, it invites everybody to the table of the fruits of development. So that combination is extremely important. And this is what I have. And I don't have to speak about myself, but I have a Jesuit soul, the Jesuit education, which has one main point: the shortcut to happiness for any human being is being for others. If you don't have compassion in your doing of every day, you will not be a great leader. You will never be a successful leader. The shortcut to happiness of all of us human beings is do for others. Is care about the other. Is put yourselves on the shoes of the other. So this combination of capitalism, the rigor of a efficient economy, together with a humanistic economy, is the way it works. That's why both extremes are wrong. Populism, just giveaways, just controlling people, is no answer to sustainable development. Capitalism by itself is no answer to sustainable development. So let's stay in between, in the middle. So, dear lady, artificial intelligence, get in your mind that human beings need this kind of thinking.
So, if we have a lot of young people, coming up in the world, obviously. And I think it's a little different from when you and I were growing up. And I'm wondering if you have a message for the young people of today about, how they should think about um, making a life for themselves, because it is a little harder today than it was maybe 10, 15 years ago.
It's a difficult issue, the one you're bringing in. Youth seems to be that don't care about what goes on as long as you survive. We have a good share of youth, of jóvenes, that share these values that I'm talking about. But many of them imagine these criminals here in Mexico. They have hired over 250,000 kids, the cartels, and they train them. They teach them how to use a gun. They pay them for go and kill, like this major that was killed in the city of Uruapan. I have to say it, and you can erase it. A fucking guy that was paid 50,000 pesos out on Central Square of Uruapan gets a gun and kills the mayor of that city. This is the last call that we're having in Mexico. This great man, Carlos Manso, you hear him, you listen to his interviews, you learn about his thinking, and he is Mexico, the real Mexico that we don't have. He wanted peace. He wanted a family life. He wanted jobs for everybody. He wanted to eradicate the cartels. He wanted progress. It was the essence of what we Mexicans are. Carlos Manso. Today, he's my hero. He's a huge personality, and he made the last call to Mexicans. We have to change. We have to start living by values, by honesty, by transparency, by compassion, by productivity, by education, by ethics, and so on and on. Because otherwise, we don't go nowhere. We are sad in Mexico today. We're very sad on the Mexico that we have. And it's because the kind of government we have had. And with that has to be changed.
Is there anything different that you would have done with the than the current president of Mexico today when
Many,
it comes to
many,
what are
many
some of the
things.
things you
Many
today?
things. Presidential terms are so short that you don't have time to do most of what you would like to do. A lot of things I didn't have time to do. A lot of things I couldn't do because I was minority in front of Congress. So I had a Congress of 500 diputados, congressmen, that destroyed most of the plans that we presented. It's very difficult to be minority government, but still is a qualification because when you're minority, you have to force yourself to convince. to convince the other about your thinking and about your ideas. Because if you're authoritarian, if you control Congress, or you go by executive actions like Senor Trump is doing, he's the only one, he's the king, he's the one that has the power and the voice and the decision in the United States. I ask that great nation, we need leaders, leaders to the future that can live by these Western values, which at the very best is the only ones that have worked throughout the last 50 years or since World War II. We need values, we need ethics, we need uh, peace among everything else.
Yeah, and I'm very curious specifically about the issue of tariffs. It's a thing that has affected, a lot of the countries that America deals with, but Mexico is, I guess, the biggest trading partner with the US, right? And so I'm just wondering, would you have to handle anything different? I mean, what are your thoughts when it comes to the tariffs that President Trump has proposed and someone has enacted?
Three leaders in the 90s had a great vision: go for NAFTA, the trade agreement. Three leaders that had the vision that it would be much better to associate than compete with each other. And today, Canada, United States, and Mexico, we have the greatest trade balance in the world. That trade balance has surpassed the trillion, and we exchange almost 1 to 1. Mexico is not the little guy on the backyard. We export as much as we import from the United States. So we are responsible for all those farmers in the Midwest of America, or all those producers in United States, because of what we import into Mexico. We buy huge amount of U.S. products here, as well as we sell huge amount of Mexican products in United States, like tortas, like tacos, like Corona beer, like tequila. And same, we buy the computers, we buy the cars, we buy the technology from United States. It's a great, great association. And now it's managed to be stopped because United States thinks that it's an unfair agreement and that has to be changed. No agreement is unfair when three nations have been benefiting its economies very strongly in the last 3 decades.
Is there anything specific that you would be worried about? When it comes to these trade agreements?
We need that trade agreement as well as United States. Imagine General Motors, Ford Motor Company, and Chrysler just 20 years ago were broke. They don't have no way out. And the only way they could survive is by allocating their manufacturing, their technology, their markets in the three nations of Canada, United States, and Mexico. And so then you have a successful General Motors, a successful Ford, a successful Chrysler. If we don't keep that virtual association going, there is no way, and I can advance this news to US public opinion, there is no way United States will be able to compete with Chinese manufactured cars, or with European, or with Korean, or with Japanese. United States, its president, its Congress has to understand that North America is the future of the world, that we are the region responsible for moving this world ahead. And that's why we need to stay together. We need to stay associated. We need to work for a better future for all of our people.
Yeah. I guess just one last question for you. I wanted to ask you, if you could be a part of these negotiations, what do you think the US and Mexico could agree on to really strengthen that relationship? I mean, what is the one thing that they could, you know,
Well,
look?
I guess, and this is not a very positive opinion, but we should stay where we are. It's been 20 years, 25 years of NAFTA that we have developed year by year. We have improved year by year. We have learned and experienced new things. I think we're very close to the best trade agreement that you can have. I don't understand those voices claiming that it has to be changed. It's not fair. For instance, Senor Trump says, look, Mexico's exporting too much products for us. Mexico is manufacturing our GM cars. Yes, and so what, President Trump? If that GM car is not manufactured in Mexico, won't have a market. It won't have a market to sell because the price and the cost will be so much that it could not compete. The best competitive advantage for the three of us is stay together. We must understand that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, President Fox. Is there anything else you would like to add or any final message, any final thoughts?
Well, you asked me about youth, los jóvenes. A los jóvenes, I want to address them. Youth, this is your world. It's nobody else's. I'm 83-year-old. I hope I live another 83 years, but that's not going to happen. And we need young people to take the lead, to nourish themselves with technology, education, but over and above, with values, with ethics, with good behavior, with commitment, with compassion. When you have that in yourself, you're a leader that cannot be defeated by nobody, a leader that can change the world. Jóvenes, let's go for that world. It's your world. Make it come true. Be the new American dream. Be the new founding fathers of that nation. It needs renewal. It needs new blood. It needs new thinking. And you are the one. You kids take over the responsibility of creating a better world.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much. It's
Berenice, un placer. Muchas gracias. Mucho
placer.
éxito.
Gracias.
Adiós. Matt, gracias.
Gracias a ustedes, se lo agradezco mucho.
Adiós.